day you have a piece of paper?
Being recorded?
Uh-huh.
Every day I start with a piece of paper that I fold and put in my back pocket and has the date and where I'm at. And then the things I do, sometimes shopping lists, odd numbers, 393 Hoyt Street. And then I save these chronologically, and then I staple them onto boards like this and work on them. Right now I have 2 thinner boards I'm working with 5 on each. And then when they're finished, I take them off and put up the next piece.
So you have 1 piece per day?
I start with 1 piece. I don't necessarily finish a piece every day, but it kind of averages out, like within a year. It's pretty close to 1 finished piece per day.
Do you find that
somewhere between 300 and 400 a year, and I've been doing this since '96. So.
Do you find that discipline and format gives your ideas a place and a structure that they know they can go into as ideas come through your mind?
Yeah, and I think that this whole body of work, this whole series and way of working, came through the process. It was very organic, and it was very much about not thinking, like sort of getting beyond thought and having a structure that's sort of preset in a certain way, that I have that opportunity, sort of like the structure's set, and within that then anything can happen. And
exactly.
When I started this, I was doing abstracted figures, and I was feeling very sort of confined by the figure, and I didn't know this would end up being my longest ongoing body of work, but that's what it's become, and it really helped free me from the figure. And I often still use some of the same gestures and lines as what were in abstracted figures, but they're not.
When were the Butch pieces done? What year?
I think 2001 or 2. And they were very much...
Because to me there's still a lot of figurative element in them.
Yes, there is a lot. And this was like both listening to the music of these specific pieces that they were for the CD cover, but they're also thinking a lot about his motion and how it translated to a group of people. And I studied his hand gestures with Tom Abbs, who's a good friend of mine who's worked with Butch many times. He sort of taught me the hand signals that Butch taught him. So I wasn't trying to copy them necessarily, but I did have that in mind, those sort of, I don't remember them now, but the various, his hand conducting.
So these are in the context of the drawing boards as well?
These pieces, the Butch pieces? I'm guessing that I probably stapled these over top of the WD. I'm guessing that there would have been this, all these pieces already on there, and then I would have stapled the works that I did to Butch over top of them, which I do often. So you're kind of getting layers of different things happening, and so the interconnectedness of the whole process, and then breaking those off, which I kind of think of as being very musical. I think there's a lot of music in the way I work on sort of an unconscious level, and sort of the way like a musical motif will be here and there in different pieces of music, sort of parts of a whole. And then I started, a lot of my work's also, I'm very interested in blurring the lines between process and product and artifact. And that's when I started thinking about these boards as being pieces of art in themselves that have all the history of, I'm guessing thousands or at least many hundreds of WD pieces would have been made on this board.
What is the WD for?
It originally started as warehouse drawings, and then I started thinking of it as a work day, and then the letters kind of stuck, and they kind of took on their own meaning. But I started this series in an abandoned warehouse in East Rutherford, New Jersey. When I first moved to Brooklyn, I had access to the space. And I was working on these large figurative pieces, and that's when this whole thing started. And this board was used from 2002 to 2011.
And how many are you using right now? How many work boards?
I have 2 right now. There's 5 on each. So the total area would be about they're a little wider than, so they're each about this wide, I would say, approximately that long. I've used a more square format as well. But yeah, so I sort of back mounted these and then put a varnish on it to treat them almost like a...
So you didn't do anything, this is simply just the process?
Just the process, yeah. I mean, all I did is varnish it just to give it a protection, because there's, some paint, there's paper, and some of the corners of the paper sometimes will tear off. And it gives it a nice overall feel.